right, so I've been thinking about making this video for a while, something that's been weighing on my mind quite a bit, especially with what's been going on in the past few months, in the past year. I'm a two-time Trump voter, and I'm pretty well disgusted with what's been happening since his second term has begun. And I want to go through the reasons why I did vote for him twice and why I feel, for lack of a better term, ashamed of that and guilty about that now based on what's happening. So I guess just some background about me. I was born in central Indiana, in a rural area just northeast of Indianapolis. So grew up in a very conservative paradigm and environment. My entire family's been involved in agriculture. That's been my entire career as well, which is another influence, right? I mean, it's a very conservative industry. So I grew up just in a natural, traditional, conservative, paradigm and background, where I was raised. And, I had a great upbringing, had fantastic family, still get along with my parents, my siblings, no problems, had a great childhood, and, raised with good values. One thing may have been a little different than some people who grew up in a conservative, traditional household is religion wasn't like super forced upon me. It was definitely present and around, right? I mean, everyone in my family is Christian, and personally grew up Methodist, but we had years of going to church regularly, and then years where we didn't go as often, maybe just for major holidays, right? So religion was around and for sure an influence on me, but it wasn't like foisted or forced upon me in a way that I know that also happens with a lot of people that grew up in a conservative way. So really, I guess I should get into, kind of how I saw the last 10 years, right? That's really been the Trump phenomenon. It's been going a little over 10 years now, just crazy to think about. I did not vote for him in 2016 when it was Trump versus Hillary. I voted for Gary Johnson. So kind of a protest vote there, obviously. Wasn't real thrilled with either party, and still not. And I will say, I never would have considered myself in MAGA, right? Just like with any kind of political movement, there's like concentric circles of devotion to the movement or to the candidate. I would definitely be on the outer rings of that. So while I did vote for him, and I take full responsibility for that, I'd never attended a rally. I've never owned a MAGA hat or anything like that. I've never, got into it with a friend or a family member defending him or anything like that. So some of the reasons, I voted for Trump in 2020, really probably the motivating factor, if I'm being honest, was I gave in to the fear and propaganda around Democrats taking away the Second Amendment. Second Amendment was a huge influence in my upbringing for sure. Like I mentioned, being in a rural area in Indiana in the Midwest, in a conservative environment, family, hunting was a big part of our lifestyle. My grandfather was a gun collector and gunsmith builder. So I grew up around them all the time. And my grandfather was a huge influence on me in that respect, because he was definitely like a 2A maximalist, right? In position of that. And I realize how this is going to come off, because this is going to be a major reason of why I am now turning against Trump, and I'll get into that later. But in 2020, at that time, that was a reason for why I voted for him. In 2024, man, it's really hard to come to terms with it now that you're on the back end of it, but I think this is important for all of us to do that are considering what's happening now and have mixed emotions or regret about it. And I want to convince people to kind of open their mind up and come to the other side instead of being stuck in their position. But in 2024 is probably, once again, I fell for the the scam of a politician, of Trump selling the idea of being the candidate of peace, right, and of ending wars, because I'm big on anti-war. And obviously he's done the exact opposite of that over the last year in pretty much every way. And the Gaza genocide was a big motivating factor for that, because he talked about ending that, and I saw zero movement from the Democrats trying to end that during the time it was happening under Biden. Those are kind of the reasons why I did vote for him in 2020, 2024, really.